All right, boys and girls, we are going to make an excellent dagwood sandwich today. And we are going to start with a sourdough rosemary loaf. And to it, we are going to add onions, tomatoes, and pickles. Make sure your onions, tomatoes, and pickles are sliced not super thin, because you don't want all the liquid to leak out. You want it to meld. So 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. And then we've got some really nice capicola, solid Swiss, some salami, my favorite, pickle loaf with some pimento in it. Then we got Munster cheese. We have a really nice prosciutto. And we've got a great mustard salami. And what we're looking for is about 2 pounds of meat to 1 pound of cheese. So 2-to-1 ratio for this size sandwich. And we are going to stock and stack carefully. And then lastly, we've got some greens, arugula, but we're not going to use a lot because they're going to mold up after a few hours. Okay, so I'm going to give a nice cut to this bread, about real level, so that there's a flat, stable platform for this bread to host our sandwich. So there's our cut, which I did terribly. So we'll have to make up for that by making an even better sandwich. But you get the idea. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is pull out the meat of the sandwich to allow more capacity for your delicious ingredients. Okay? Just like in that movie that you saw, that you know what I'm talking about, that I can't mention because I don't know if I'll be sued or not. So, just do that. So now we're nice and hollowed out. The uneven sandwich bottom, but we will deal with that by simply creatively folding a little extra meat on this side. So the next thing that goes down is a delicious layer of some kind of fatty mayonnaise or something thick, which will prevent the liquids that will come out of the meats and the vegetables from soaking into the bread. And at this point, we're going to start ladling on our meats. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to start with my olive loaf. And I'm going to do a little fold right there, just like that. Just so that this section, because I need to build up this section just a tad. Because my poor knife skills whilst trying to hold a camera, because I'm not a millennial and I don't have one of those things that go on your head, or 14 people living with me that can help me make this sandwich, because I'm a big boy and I live by myself and mommy's not here. Okay, so we're just gonna get a little meat on there. Okay, we're gonna cover that one up. That's gonna be a nice flat piece. Okay, well, let's get our shelf built up right here. That's what we're talking about. Finally, level this out with a little bit there. We're going to do a little bit just like so. So we've got a nice, even bit of bread. And we're not hanging off the loaf of bread, but we've now corrected our leveling experience. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to add are my delicious Genoa salami slices. And we're going to go again to the edge of the bread, because as you bite this, it's going to push out. So you need to make sure that you have room for expansion. Okay. This is going to be a thick layer, beautiful layer of salami. I'm going to keep layering. I'm going to keep layering. I'm going to layer, and I'm going to feel about. See, now I feel a little light spot right there. I'm going to even that out with just a little extra piece. See what I'm saying? You're making a beautiful little forest landscape of meat. Beautiful little forest landscape of meat, and we feel, and we touch, and we feel, and we touch, and we feel as we touch. We're going to fill it in just a little more, just a little. We want nice, happy bites of sandwich. And we feel, and we put the meat on, and we feel. And we respect the sandwich. We respect the sandwich. Because lots of things gave up their life to make this sandwich. There were billions, trillions of little bacteria and yeasts that made the bread, that gave their life once someone threw them in an oven and cooked them. They didn't want to be cooked. They just wanted to poop and shit like all the rest of us. But now they're dead. This one's for me. Salami is good. Now we're going to go for our first layer of cheese. We're going to go with the Munster, because that was a name of a really good show back in the 60s. And we're going to make sure that this layer is nice and even with minimal hangover. And we're going to go in multiple directions. And when we do this, we're going to fold it up, because remember, we're trying to keep it flat. Okay? A flat, level surface. Especially, what we don't want is the sandwich to be like a hump. We want it to either be a little bit of a divot or flat, because once it's a hump, even though we've cut out our bread, it's still going to push all the tasty deliciousness out of the way when we take our scrumdiddlyumptious bites. Unless you know a trick like I know, and I will teach you. I will teach you this trick. I will teach you how to trick. Okay. And remember, the sandwich is a living organism. And once you've made this sandwich is going to live inside of you. Yes, it is. You and the sandwich will now be one. Now I will put 2 more pieces. I would have normally gone 3 pieces, but I ate a little extra piece for me. Okay, so now we have that done. The next thing we're going to do is layer our delicious, delicious prosciutto. Nice slices. There's not a lot here. Again, we're generally dealing in half-pound servings. Deliciousness all the way through. Yeah, that's so nice and even. The carpenter would be overjoyed to see how level this was. How overjoyed would you be, little boys and girls? You'd be overjoyed. Ooh, we've got a little more to go. Just a wee bit. Oh, yeah. Couple more slices. We're gonna see if we can't get two more in there. Oh yeah, nice and level. All right, so we're now at this point, we're getting a little low here. This is all level, but this, we've reached a divot. So we're going to use our delicious prosciutto, kind of like some spackle. And we're going to raise that little divot up. We're going to raise that little divot. We're going to make that a happy little divot. This is going to be a nice divot. It's going to be a good divot. It will be a great divot. Okay. Okay. Right on. Goes that. Nice. And oh, look at this. We've got one lone piece of prosciutto. Oh, I think. Well, maybe we'll just reward ourselves for that, shall we? So now we're going to apply our Swiss. Delicious, mildly bitter flavor. I got the Swiss that doesn't have the holes in it, but that still doesn't mean it's not Swiss. Shut up. You can't eat the sandwich. Shut up. Shut up. This is not a sandwich for you. Your foot. Your foot. Yes, your foot. Shut up. Okay. That's my fat cat. It never shuts up. But that's what cats do. Yes, I hear you over there. So we're now going to build up this just a tad by flipping that piece. It's not entirely impossible by the end of the day. I will have killed this cat for making noise. Are you making noise? Do you make noise? Are you making noise? Are you fat? Who's fatter than you? Name one person who's fatter than you. Fat? Yes, that's right. So, we continue to build our sandwich, although the haters will hate. We are building our sandwich, and we are building a fountain of haters in the background. But once you love a sandwich, how can you not love something else? Ooh, and I love this one last piece of delicious Swiss cheese. And there for you little kids, there's your hole. For all you kids who love a nice hole, there it is. And it's one hole, and it can be whatever hole you like the most. But I'm going to eat this one. All right. Now, we're going to apply the capicola. But we are going to make a slight change, as at this point, if we look at the bread, we now have clear overhang and plenty of coverage of meat. What we need to do now is taper this up to add our vegetables and the rest of our delicious meats. So we apply that layer. We apply it. We apply it like we love it, because we do love it. Because who doesn't love a delicious sandwich? I don't know anyone that does. Really, all I think that you need to do to resolve most wars is you just get a couple of chefs out there to make people sandwiches, and then everyone will be okay. All right. Look at this. Oh, yes. Good, nice. Nice, feels good, feels level. Maybe a little more in the middle. There we go. Such nice. We will try to make sure that virtually every bite of this delicious, delicious, mouth-watering sandwich contains some kind of protein and some kind of dairy, but all kinds of deliciousness. Well, so, thank you, Kat. What would you like to say to our audience? Anything? Yes? Kat? Yes, your foot. Right. Piece of capicola for me. Now we're going to lay on some onion. Again, you're just trying to make sure that you're maintaining a level field. You don't want to ice skate on a piece of ice that isn't level, because then you just end up blind and married to Bobby Benson, and no one wants that. So there's some nice onion. Nice, feel that, feel that. Now we're going to put on our tomato slices. Should be just enough. Should be just enough. See, that is why you want the sandwich to be level, so there's no slipping. Because being on a slip and slide is great if you have no pants on. But you don't want to be on a slip and slide in your kitchen. Okay, and just a wee bit of pickle. We're not trying to infest this with pickle, because no one likes too much pickle. I mean, a good bit of pickle is fine. And even if you don't like pickle, if you have a little bit of pickle every now and again, it doesn't make you abnormal to like a pickle. Liking a pickle is perfectly healthy. No matter where you like to eat that pickle. Whether you like to eat that pickle in your car, or you like to put that pickle in places that maybe most people don't like to put pickles. But it's still a nice place to put a pickle. Pickles are good. Okay, so now we're going to add our layer of arugula. Just a little bit, because as you can see, it falls all over the place. And our role here is to get this sandwich to a point where we can now properly wrap it so it can set. Okay. Now the last thing we're going to put in here is I'm just going to cover this with a wee bit of peppered salami. I'm not going the whole half pound here. I'm just trying to add a little weight to force the arugula down. Because what we don't want to do is let the arugula run the show, because it will get crazy. It will go all over the place. It will go Miley Cyrus on you. It will. Melissaris, or whatever her name is. It will make things happen that you don't necessarily want to have happen. Okay, maybe we're going to do one more, because I like even numbers. Good. All right. Now we top this. And you could put mustard on this. You could put dressing on this. You could salt and pepper this. And we're going to do that. I'm going to put you on hold. Okay, we have seasoned this. But remember, the ham is salty. The cheese has some tart to it. Capicola is salty. The pepper is peppery. So we do not have to murder this with seasoning. We're trying to enjoy the natural deliciousness of what this bounty deserves. So the next step is to cover this sandwich with its cap as such, and then tightly wrap this in plastic wrap, because like a good dressing, like a good salad, like a great dish, this sandwich now needs to marinate within itself. So I've laid down a layer of saran wrap on the bottom and gently placed the sandwich on top of it. What I'm going to do is tightly pull the edges of the saran wrap over the sandwich while compressing the sandwich and holding it all together and pressing it into this saran wrap like so. So I'm going to cover it, but it's going to be really tight. And I'm going to do this several times in both directions, because what you want to do is compress this sandwich so that it mingles and the juices run together and the sandwich runs together and the love of the sandwich runs together, and just love oozes out from every hole and crevice and crack that could possibly have ooze come out of it. What? What? Do you like ooze? Do you like ooze? I kick you. 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 Get out of here. See? Now, some of you might have noticed my dirty dishes. But that's because I'm a big boy and I live by myself and my mommy's not here. And I just didn't care to clean them. So if you don't like that, move out of your mommy's house and try to do it on your own. I'm going to make this sandwich nice and wrapped. Alright, as you can see, I've got one layer in each direction, which has now compressed the sandwich and has made it completely kind of sealed. Now we're going to do this several times to make sure that no air gets in there. And then this delicious sandwich is going to go into the refrigerator overnight to just mingle and love itself. This is all about self-love for this sandwich. And I want to give the sandwich, the opportunity to self-love itself while it loves itself in a nice, loving environment. And then I'm going to eat it. But what will happen, overnight, this sandwich will mingle. It will meld together. Juices will flow. Proteins will ooze. Ejaculation between the meat cells will occur. And it will form a relatively firmish, nice sandwich. Not the collapsible sandwich this is right now. If I were to try to take a bite out of this right now, it would fall apart. I'm not a woman or a liberal, so I cannot open my mouth this wide to eat this sandwich. So this is a problem. But tomorrow, this will be firm. This will be strong. And you will be able to take delicious bites out of this sandwich. Or you will be able to cut the sandwich into slices, which is what this is intended for. And you can slice this up, and if you have any friends, you can serve this to them. Or you could just eat this over the course of a few days while you go to work. If you work, you probably don't work. But if you're just sitting in the house, for most people, this is way more than one meal. I'm 6'4", 275 pounds. This is maybe 4 meals for me. Some of you, it might be one. I get it. You like to eat. You're lonely. But this is going to take all your loneliness away. I'm going to continue wrapping this. All right, little boys and girls. Notice how much more compressed the sandwich now is. And let's talk about the construction in its now final phase. We started with a nice layer of bread. This is from one loaf of delicious sourdough rosemary. But you could use something else. But what you want to make sure is that you end up with a flat bottom. And if you don't end up with a flat bottom like I did, then you can still compensate for that by just stacking your meat a little more appropriately, as you can see here. On top of that bread, you want to have a nice layer of fat, a nice delicious layer of some kind of mayonnaise, some kind of substance that won't allow the liquid that is going to commingle from this whole delicious ball of fantasticness. Because you don't want this bottom piece to be soaked to the wetness. You don't want it to be like your underwear when you get out of bed and you've peed yourself a few times, or like your diaper. You want it to be dry. That fat will help it. Then you hollow out your top piece, because all that meat is unnecessary, and it's just going to make the sandwich taller, and it's just going to absorb more liquid. So what you want to do is prevent that, cut that out, make it nice and crusty. Then stagger your meats and your cheeses. I go for a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 parts meat, 1 part cheese. Now, I understand that I use some pretty scary cuts of meat. Capicola. You probably didn't learn to spell that in school. You might not know what that means. But you could use bologna, because I think you know what bologna is. But you could also just use chicky nug nugs. If you just want to go to McDonald's and get a couple of 40-piece chicky nug nugs, you could do the same thing. And then you add your cheese, or maybe you just want chicky nug nugs and french fries. But you want a 2-to-1 ratio of meats to dairy. Now with the top, because I'm an adult, I like me some vegetables. That's why I added the onion. That's why I added the tomato slices, thick tomato slices, not thin, but not too thick, 1/4 inch or so, 1/8 to 1/4 inch, and then a little bit of pickle, and the arugula. Now, the problem with this sandwich is that the arugula, because it's so thin, it could potentially wilt a little bit in spots, which is why we only use a little bit, and which is why we really left it at the top and then just compressed it with that salami. So it doesn't crush itself overnight under the overwhelming deliciousness that is happening in here, as this sandwich just intensifies in flavor by the moment. And we have some salt and pepper on the top. Now, we could have added some dressing, we could have added some mayonnaise, we could have added, mustard rather, we did add the mayonnaise, horseradish. There's lots of things you want to add. But the point of this sandwich is to try to keep it on the drier side and have slightly less wet ingredients, like the vegetables, like the slices of tomato, which are fruits, and things of that nature, because this is going to mingle overnight. This delicious piece of tomato right here, this beautiful piece of nice tomato, perfectly deliciously cut, it's gonna leak into this beautiful piece of Swiss cheese, into this beautiful piece of onion, into these nice salami bits right here, and this nice beautiful piece of pepperoni. They're going to become one. They're going to become one in a joyful menagerie of fantastic, delicious meat, cheese, dairy, vegetable orgy. And that's what we have here, an orgy of deliciousness. So this sandwich in the fridge overnight. If you're going to bring it to work the next day, if you're most millennials or Gen Zs and you do have a job, you probably eat a lot. You probably eat the whole sandwich. But for me, I'm going to cut this in half and I'm going to quarter it. So I'm going to make 4 cuts out of this. And I will have this over the course of 2-3 days. And as long as you keep it tight and wrapped up firmly and nice and together, it will keep for a good 4 or 5 days in the fridge. So you've got plenty of meals to enjoy over the course of a few days, or you can share it with maybe your friend or your imaginary friend if you have one, or you can just put 2 plates out, pretend you have a friend, and eat both plates. But there's lots you can do. There's lots you can do with this. But that is essentially how you structure a beautiful, delicious, dagwood style sandwich. Could you use roast beef? Sure. Could you use Swiss cheese with roast beef? You can. But just remember the golden ratio, 2-to-1. 2 parts meat, 1 part cheese. And on a sandwich like this, 3 pounds is the perfect amount. If this bread were double in size and I were to use 3 pounds, it would not be a nice thick sandwich. It'd be thin. And you'd have to use more vegetables to even out the surface. So then you're going to end up with a wetter sandwich than a drier sandwich. And this sandwich, once it's been in the fridge overnight, though it will not be leaky, drippy, it will be firm and held together and just deliciously marinated perfectly. So that is a magnificent sandwich. I hope you learned something today. My cat didn't learn anything today because it's dumb and it's fat and it's right here. Do you want to say anything? What do you want to say? Do you want to say something? Say goodbye to the little boys and girls. You say goodbye? You want to say goodbye to the little boys and girls? Yes, you say goodbye to the little boys and girls. What, God? Who loves you? Who loves you? Daddy loves you. I love you. Cut. Okay. Now you go fuck off because you're dumb. And here's my sandwich.